Okay, this is Orlando Wilson. What I want to talk about in this video slash podcast is being comfortable in different social environments, which might sound simple, but a lot of people have problems doing. If you're in the close protection business, even investigations business, you have to be comfortable in all environments, be it high class, be it corporate, be it low class, be it no class. You have to be able to fit in all environments. A lot of people have issues when they go into five-star environments, luxury environments, because they don't know how to behave. They're not comfortable. And I've seen it many times when people are in those environments, they don't know how to act. How do you act in a five-star environment? Well, as long as you're a normal person, as long as you're polite, respectful, etc., you act like you do anywhere else. A lot of people seem to think when you're in a upper class environment, a five-star environment, you got to put on what we say airs and graces. You got to act like royalty. You don't. If you're comfortable in that environment, you act like you would anywhere else. It's your environment. You own that environment. You're comfortable there. There's no need to act any other way than you would anywhere else. Again, as long as you're polite, respectful, humble, etc., etc. A lot of people, when they get into the higher class environments, they think they hit the big time, etc., etc. So they think they're kings and queens, and they act like it, which all it does is make them look stupid. Now, when I first started working in five-star environments, etc., etc., to me it was a little bit uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable. Why? I wasn't used to it. I grew up around fishing boats. I left school at 16. I worked on fishing boats, commercial fishing boats. I then joined the army, British infantry, etc. Then when I ended up in London, in the end, I started working five-star environments, five-star hotels, that was most of my world. Five-star environments, black tie events, etc., etc. And I tell people, when I first used to have to go to work for the black tie events, I used to feel very uncomfortable going to work on the subway, on the tube, dressed in a dinner suit. I was self-conscious about being in a dinner suit. I always used to put my bow tie on when I got to the venues, etc., etc. But I used to feel, to start off with, self-conscious of I'm dressed up like a penguin. But again, in the end, that became a regular dress for me to wear to work. It was a work dress. The environments, going into a fancy environment or a fancy venue, which was initially intimidating, was like, okay, it's my regular workplace. I'm used to it. I'm used to the environment. I'm used to the people. I remember there was one old, let's say two old, banqueting guy that used to work at, banqueting manager used to work at the Grosvenor House in London. And he had a good way of summing people up in those environments. And he used to say, when we used to get problems with people, a lot of people don't know how to behave. And it's true. You see a lot of people not knowing how to behave in those environments. They put on the airs and graces. They try to be something they're not. And they just end up looking stupid or making a complete and utter mess of things. So how do you act in luxury environments? Like you would anywhere else. Be comfortable in those environments. If you're not comfortable in that environment, I've done other videos about this. If you're not comfortable in that environment, you're not going to be able to work in that environment. As I said, I'm from a working class background, and I'll give you one example about the people in those environments. And I remember I'd done one event early on in my career, many years ago, and it was at the Grosvenor House again, and it was for a large legal association in the UK, if not the biggest. I'm not going to mention the name, but we had a ballroom full of lawyers, top city lawyers, etc., etc. I remember when that event started, I was there with a couple other guys, and the event organizer come in ahead of this legal association. Again, older city lawyer, etc., etc. And as he walked in, I asked him for his, sir, do you have a ticket? He said, yes, I got a ticket. And he walked straight past me. Why? Because he's the boss and I'm just a security guy, right? The end of that night, even though this guy was, I take it, wealthy, powerful, an influential lawyer in the city of London, the end of the night, one of his lawyers, one of the people at the event, was that wasted, he was passed out at his table, drunk. This guy went from being wasted, I take it he was drinking and also popping pills, younger lawyer, to being wasted, to doing somersaults between the tables. So I had to go to the event organizer, this older lawyer, and say, look, we got a problem with one of your guys. He's gonna have to go. That lawyer then became my best friend. His arrogance was gone, everything was gone, because now he realized, okay, one of his people, or one of hundreds of people there, was causing the problem, was going to have to get thrown out. His main concern is he didn't know what law firm he belonged to, he didn't know if the guy was how connected, etc., etc. But he's going to have to go. That situation was rectified, etc., etc. But after dealing with that situation, and again, it was early on in my career, it's like, okay, these people are normal people. Even though they might come across as arrogant, they got too much money, they got too much power, they're influential people, you know what, they're the same as everybody else. They just tend to have a shittier attitude at times. But when it comes to the crunch, everybody's the same. And again, I've dealt with other things over the years with the more I deal with people, and again, this comes from experience of dealing with people, you realize everybody's the same. I don't have time for people that's, again, the arrogance and the attitude doesn't work. I've dealt with people from all social backgrounds, very many cultures. And again, to me, all people are the same. So people class-wise don't intimidate me. Once upon a time they did. And I expect if you're starting out in this business, they will. People from different cultures and social backgrounds tend to intimidate people from cultures and backgrounds that don't understand their cultures and backgrounds. But again, everybody's the same. So part of being comfortable in all social environments is not letting the environment intimidate you and not allowing the people in that environment to intimidate you. How do you behave? As you would anywhere else, as long as you're polite, respectful, etc. How do you deal with the people? The same as you deal with people anywhere else, as long as you're polite, respectful, etc. So we say these days we can eat at all tables. And if you're serious about the close protection business, you have to be able to eat at all tables. You have to be able to understand how to eat at all tables. And you have to be comfortable at all tables. So again, the only way you're going to do that is to go out and get experience and put yourself in uncomfortable situations that really, after you get over the initial part of being uncomfortable, you'll think, what the hell was I uncomfortable about in the first place? And it's no different than being anywhere else. So I hope this video / podcast gives you a little bit of advice, gives you something to think about. I have a lot more videos up online. I also got an array of books up on Amazon, and we're going to be putting up more content in the near future. So follow us along on social media, and if you've got any questions, if you're connected with me directly, reach out and give me some time and I will get back to you. In the meantime, think about what I've said, and if you're serious about the close protection business, if you're serious about life in general, you have to understand different cultures, etc., and you have to be comfortable in all environments. Yeah, and it's not being intimidated by different social environments, because there's nothing really to be intimidated about after you get over the initial bump.